Right, we're finally in the workshop. The apprentice is at school today, so I'm flying solo. So let's start cutting up some wood. So when you get a 2x4, it's got a rounded edge from factory. I want to get rid of that, otherwise it's going to look like it's made from 2x4s. So ladies and gentlemen, this is what it looks like when you cut wood. It's too wet. Right then, before we go any further, let me explain what we're trying to build. So this is the design we're going with for the corner sofa. Now if you look at the size of the patio we've got enough room to fit in a 3.6 by 2.4 L-shaped corner sofa. Now it's going to comprise of, we've got 3 cushions, and then in the corner we've got a table, and then we've also got 2 smaller end tables at either end, and then there's backrests on each part of where the seating area is, just so you've got something nice to rest against. Now if we look at the next drawing, it'll show you what it's going to look like from the front. So if you look, we've got the cushions sat slightly lower than the end tables, and this is just to stop them from sliding about. And then you can't really see the backrest because those are the back cushions. And then we're thinking of a slightly tapered leg for the front. See how it turns out. I'm not completely decided yet on exactly how we're going to have the design. And then this is again more of a 3D view of it. So like I say, backrests, small end tables which are attached, and then there's a corner table. And I haven't quite decided on what we're doing with that area yet, but I'm thinking of putting something inside that table. So hang around to the end of the video and see what I do with that space. So as you sit back and enjoy this montage, I just wanted to take a second out to speak to you about the channel. So believe it or not, this is our first video that we've released on this channel. Feel free to roast me in the comments about my editing skills, but you know, you live and you learn, don't you? So we'll see how this pans out. But yeah, the reason I'm on here is I'm a woodworker by trade, but these days life, everything gets in the way, doesn't it? And you don't get to spend enough quality time with your kids, and kids these days are glued to devices all the time and not interested in being creative. They just want the screen in front of them all the time. So this kind of facilitates both things. So I get to spend some quality time with my son and being creative in the workshop, but on the flip side we also get to be creative on YouTube and create videos like this for your enjoyment. So if you are enjoying this video, feel free to become one of our first subscribers. Like I said, this is our first video. We've not really got much momentum on YouTube yet, as it being our first video, so feel free at any point to pause the video and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, so next time we release the next video, which is already in the pipeline, you'll be notified when it's live. Like I say, just a quick one, just popping on here briefly whilst you're watching this to explain about the channel and the direction that it's going in. As a kid growing up, from probably say the age that Dougie is now, I was often dragged along. I say dragged along, I went willingly, with my father, who at the time was a joiner, working on a weekend and just helping him do jobs around the house. And I feel like if it weren't for those moments when I was a youngster of helping my dad, that I wouldn't have the skill set and the what's the word I'm looking for, frame of mind to tackle jobs. A lot of people these days are too quick to get trades in and not really give it a go themselves. I mean, being a woodworker by trade, it kind of works in my favour that people aren't willing to pick up the tools, but I feel like it creates and moulds you as a person when you have the mentality that you will give things a go. I mean, I don't just build furniture, I've made all sorts of things, and this isn't me bragging. I've many a time over the years attempted stuff and failed and done it wrong, and maybe I've had to get a trade in every now and again, but I like to tackle things myself first, or at least, say to yourself, is this possible, can I do this? Sometimes you can't do it because you don't have the correct tools, but painting, decorating, gardening, now, I'm not knocking any of them trades because there's a lot of skill involved, but when it's your own house, you don't mind, do you, if things don't go to plan, or if you're cutting in some paintwork that's not quite perfect, or you lay patio as I've done, and it's not top notch, but it's good enough, and you can step back and you have that sense of achievement when you finish the job. Not only I've saved myself a few quid, but I did that, and every time you see that item or that bit of decorating or whatever it may be, you can take a bit of pride in it and be like, yeah, I did that. There's just not enough of that going on these days. Everyone's too quick to jump into, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And you can do anything if you set your mind to it. Now I'm waffling on a bit now, so I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of this video, and it'll be the last time I interrupt you today. Just one more thing, as I am now officially a YouTuber, as they say, I've got to remind you to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. sure it crosses that line, yeah, and then do the bottom one. Right, as you can see, this corner sofa is starting to take up a lot of space in the workshop now, so get it off the bench, get some feet made up, and then we can get it outside out of the way. Here we go. That thing's heavy. Where's the apprentice when you need him, eh? Right then, let me explain the feet situation. So we're going for a total of 7 feet for this sofa. Now, because of the patio, the way it lies, we've got a fall on the patio. So, because it's quite a large sofa, if we was to put the feet on that are all the same length, it'd mean that the sofa's kind of on the wonk. So, to overcome this, what we've decided to do is 2 of the legs will be slightly longer in length. I've calculated that they need to be 45mm longer over the distance, so we've got the sofa nice and level as the patio sits. So to achieve this, we are going to create 2 legs that are slightly longer. Now, it throws off the geometry of this taper compared to the other leg, as you can see in this drawing. Now, I don't think it's going to make much difference visually. I'd like to think that it will. These ones are going to be tucked under, out the way, so I don't know. I'm going to make them and see how they look on the actual sofa itself, and then make a decision whether I adjust the length of this taper or not. I mean, if you look there, we've got 5 squares. We've also got 5 squares there, but if you bring it to the same height, if we was to remove that portion at the bottom, it's more like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares, which you can see it throws the angle off. Now, I don't know how to overcome this any other way really, other than mimicking the same shaped leg and then straightening it off at the bottom, which I think would look silly. I think from a distance, at a glance, you won't see the difference between those 2 legs. So that's what we're going to try, see how it works. If it don't work, it don't work. We'll do something else. We'll have to go back to the drawing board. Right, scrap that idea. I've just been thinking off camera and I think I've worked out what we need to do. So instead of making 5 and 2 of different style legs, I'm going to make 7 of these legs, and then basically all I'm going to do is lop off the 45mm that we don't need on 5 of the legs. This way the taper will still be the same, we'll just have different shapes, different length legs, sorry. I think that's my solution, so scrap the first idea. Right then, as you can see, this is what I was talking about. So that's on the bubble, but if we pan back, you can see how much I've had to lift that piece of timber to get it level. Now, the reason we're doing this is because you can see the fall on the patio, but I want the top of the sofa to run parallel with these lats on the fence that I've put in place. I think if we leave it running with the patio, it'll look wonky and silly. So we're going to jack the feet up in this corner, which should help us overcome that discrepancy on the patio. Now, I know what you're going to say, why does his patio fall that much over the distance he's got? It's because I'm not a landscaper and I don't lay patio for a living. So this is what we did, this is how it is. It seems to drain off fine, it's just a little bit on level. Here we've got a quick stop block set up so we can make sure that all these feet end up getting cut to the same length. And we'll just bosh through them now and knock 7 of them out. We need to cut 14 pieces in total because they're going to get mited down the edge, so we've got a nice clean looking foot. Now that all the mities are cut, you can see how they go together. Off camera I've glued them up, so I didn't want the hassle of trying to record and glue at the same time. So now they're ready for have the tapers cut. So to cut the tapers, we get a piece of scrap material and cut the edge off, and then do not adjust the fence. So what we do now is we overhang our material where we want the taper cutting, so you can see the 2 lines from one end of the taper to the other. Once we've got that position, we'll then clamp it down to the bench and then use a couple of pieces of scrap to clamp it in place. So once we push it through the saw, we can get nice repeatable cuts on every single leg, so the taper's the same. Once we've ran all the legs through the saw, we'll then flip the jig up over the opposite way so we can cut the other side of the taper, and then it's just a case of rinse and repeat again on the opposite side. So using this method, it allows us to make repeatable cuts. So as you can see here, they're all exactly the same, and then on the 5 that are the short leg, as you can see here on the miter saw, we just lock the ends off. And we've got them all the same with the same taper. So, part 1 of the sofa is now complete, and it's looking epic. Just let's get the piece down to match up with it. So let's use a little bit of YouTube magic. If only it was that easy. Let's build some backrests. Right then, for these backrests we're going to be using half lap joinery again. It's only basic, but it'll tie in with the rest of the sofa, and you're not going to see it anyway once the cushions are there. It's just a part of the support system, so yeah, let's get cracking with it. Right then, that's the last piece for the backrest. Just cut them all to length on the miter saw so they're all the same size. We're going to take the edges off now, so we've got some square timber to work with again, so we can start creating our half laps for the backrest. can see, we've got the backrests complete now and they're in place. Looking rather good if I don't say so myself. And then we just need to do these tops for the end tables and corner table. So we are looking at using, we've got some of this hardwood. I think it's a mahogany of some sort. I was lucky enough to have an old workmate kindly donate me a load of wood, so I might as well use it up. I think it'll finish these tops off nicely and just, you know, add that little bit extra of a contrast when we come to painting all this black. All the tops are cut now and complete, so we just need to put a chamfer on all of them. Now, I am not running over all of these with a handheld router, so instead I've come up with this contraption. I've clamped the router to the bench. Could do with a router table really, but the one I've got at the moment isn't working. So yeah, a couple of clamps, hold it nice and steady, and we should be able to run each piece individually over putting a nice chamfer on it. That's the last one. Right, so all the tabletop pieces are now finished. I've had a chamfer and sanded 280 grit. Just give them a wipe down with some blue shop towel, ready for finish. So let's get to it. The tops are complete now, they've all got finish on, they've got 2 coats of Osmo poly on them. Now, this is the solution I've come up with for attaching them to the framework so we don't have any visible screws. Now, obviously that's going to be what it's going to look like from the top when it's mounted to the frame. And then this is the underside. Now, it does look a bit overkill, but the reason I've done it this way is because I'll be able to space each piece individually, so we've got our gaps nice. These blocks are super cheap, you get like a bag of 100 for a few quid. So bought a load of them, slapping them on, and it'll just make it easier to mount them. So I'll show you the process of going through for mounting them. So I've set my combination square to slightly wider than the perimeter of the frame. So just using that, I just use that to find our position. And then we drill. And then just sinking the screw. Then using the square again, the combination square, just make sure that it's not moved. If it has, reposition it. Another pilot hole. And then another screw. Finally, we are ready to paint, and this is the setup that I'm going to be using for this particular application. So we've got an HVLP sprayer. It's a Fuji Semi Pro 2 spray setup we've got, and I'm using the pressure pot as well that comes with it. Now, this particular turbine isn't rated for this pressure pot, but what I find is if I hang it up nice and high and use a bit of gravity to assist me, I can kind of use it the way it's intended. So in this particular setup, we've got a 1.8mm tip, and we're going to be using, for the base coat, some of this Leyland acrylic primer and undercoat. It's water based, so we have to water it down a little bit to get the viscosity, I think it's the correct term, to the right thickness, so it'll go nice through the sprayer. So we're going to use one coat, maybe two, depending on how it turns out, of the acrylic, and then we're going to finish it off with this basic cheap Turner & Grey. I've never used this stuff before, but it's black, it's gloss, it's non-drip, and it's for interior wood and exterior. So see how it turns out. Look at this. Didn't realise this was gloss. We'll paint it and see what it looks like. If it looks rubbish, then we'll put something else on it. Right, so before we start painting, we need a spray booth, so let's get set up for spraying. So, any of my eagle-eyed viewers out there will notice that on the ceiling I have all these hooks. I've got a full row there, and then if I pan around, there's another full row there. So wherever possible, if I can, I will hang whatever I'm spraying. So in this particular instance, these parts of the backrest won't be seen, so drill a couple of holes in and sink a couple of hooks in allows me to hang it from the ceiling. I can spray every part of it without having to touch it, which speeds up the process a little bit and allows me to have more space in this very small spray setup that I've got going on. So whenever you're painting with a sprayer, you must, this is an essential thing to do, you must strain your paint. Now, I just purchased these fast movers nylon mesh paint strainers, and as you can see, the jug that I'm mixing the paint in isn't the cleanest, but that's not a problem because we're going to strain the paint. You do not want any lumps getting into your paint because it'll clog up your gun, and the last thing you want halfway through spraying is to have to stop to unclog your gun. So this is also another good indication for me whether the paint's at the right consistency, because I know how long it takes for a full jug of paint to go through this strainer. As you can see, I'm pouring it in now. Once I back up on the pour, you see it start to drop in height. And that for me is more or less where it should be. Right, so as you can see, we've got the first coat of base coat on, so everything's in primer now, and we're going to move over to getting some black on it. Wow, that was a lot of painting. So as you can see, everything's all sprayed up now. It's had 2 coats of this black paint, and it just needs to dry overnight now, and then we can get it all put together. I ain't gonna lie, I am so glad I've got a spray gun, because otherwise this would have taken me days. So I'm going in the corner, and then you need to be having out towards the door. Keep going. Keep going, keep going. Put it down. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
It's a bit heavier this one.
Why is it so heavy?
Get up the step alright?
Oh, fuck that.
Push it, lift it up to me a bit more. Lift it up and push it forwards. Lift it. And again. That's it. Give me a high five.
Right, bye, done. See ya.
What are you up to there, lad?
Making the finishing touches for the sofa.
What's that then?
Lad and Dad plaque.
Don't you mean dad and lad plaque?
Whatever that. Me and my dad have just finished putting back together the corner sofa, but it's not very comfortable, so we need something to sit on.
It's time for the final piece. Are you going to do the honours, lad?
Yep.
Right, and that's a wrap for this video. As you can see, the sofa's complete now. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like. Also,
You just said everything that I needed to say. If you enjoyed the video, comment and share.
and that's it from us. Bye. apprentice is at school, so he's left me on his own. Cut. He's left me on his own. Then, before we go in, like we have on the base, why am I pointing outside?
Making the plaque for the...
Start again.